beat LA? No. Better yet, sweep LA. The Sharks win back-to-back at Staples Center and now sit 1 point out of a playoff spot. Who would have thought of it a few weeks ago? We'll talk about all that and much more right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, Sharks fans. It is Saturday night, April 3rd, 2021. The Sharks win 3-2. And welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live and interactive Sharks postgame. Teal together and chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, SoundCloud, Reddit, and of course Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. It's us again. Erik and Ian with you. Ian is zoomed in. I gotta back you off just a scotch there, bud. How are you doing tonight?
I'm all right. I'm good. Sharks do good. It's good.
Always good, I guess. If you're on Team Tank, it might not be. I mean, my goodness. But man, I don't know if you're with me on it, but I wasn't too thrilled with that first period from the Sharks, but they got out to an early lead early, but then I don't know, it just seemed like they didn't have their legs or their mojo early on in this one tonight.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That first period, I mean, there was a goal there, but that first period wasn't a great period of hockey. They definitely got better as the game progressed, especially considering, playing with, say what you will about Marc-Edouard Vlasic's play this year, he still eats a ton of minutes. So to be on the second night of a back-to-back to finish as strong as they did, it's commendable for sure.
Indeed. Are you seeing Jerk make Ian only talk about playoff chances?
Oh, I know. Like I tweeted out, I'm like, come watch Ian eat shit for 40 minutes.
No. I honestly, I thought you guys were, having a good time with it and everything. But you know what? Things got going early. And this is the weirdest thing. They gave the goal to Kane, who never touched it. Then and LeBanc, who actually got the goal, didn't even get credit for it. But then they figured it out that it's eventually LeBanc from Knyzhov and Kane early on to make it 1-0. Just one of those lucky bounces, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it bounced off like it was the double deflection. It looked like it went off two Kings players before it went in the net. But but it was weird how, it was weird like when they gave that goal to Kane and then like Banker didn't get an assist. Like, how many deflections did they see there? Right? Like it was apparently a triple deflection all off Shark players. Like I don't understand. Like there was another goal I think that I thought Balsers scored that went to Couture, and even on the replay, I'm like, are we sure that that's Couture's goal?
Right.
Really?
Right.
And I just kind of scratched my head there. But no, I mean, if you're gonna have success in the NHL, I mean, a lot of shots that go in the net are gonna be because there's a lot of traffic out front, and I don't know how that went in, but I also don't really fault Quick on not seeing it because I have no idea how it went in. So I don't think he would have a much better look at it being positioned on the ice where he is, but I still don't think he even knows how that went in. So I mean, it was, it wasn't the prettiest goal you'll ever see, but it was definitely a good way to start. A lot of net front presence. But and it worked out for the Sharks, which was good because other than that goal, though, I mean, I don't think the first period was really good. They didn't really have a lot of sustained pressure in the first period otherwise. And they were really defensive in really sloppy in the defensive zone. And I thought that Jones had to bail them out on a couple of occasions because of their sloppy play in their own ends. So it's good that the Sharks got better in the second and third, but that first period of hockey was not good for the Sharks at all.
No, and they were outshot 18-5 in the period too. It just wasn't pretty, and of course Dustin Brown would get, the Kings back within about a couple minutes later to tie it up at 1-1. Apparently, I pulled a heady.
There you go.
They pulled an early lead early. Hot Wheels
There you
84
go.
said so. There you go. There's a
Yeah,
double
like,
heady.
and that wasn't, and that that Dustin Brown goal, I mean, it goes back to, what I said about the sloppiness in their own end. That was completely blown coverage. I think Martin Jones went out to cover the angle, and the puck goes behind him to a player that should never have gotten the puck so cleanly behind him in Dustin Brown. And the Kings make them pay for it. And I think with how sloppy they were in their own zone in the first period, they're lucky that's all the Kings did, to
Yeah,
be completely honest.
absolutely. I mean, Jones kept him in that first period with 17 saves. I didn't like that goal because I thought you always got to have a head on a swivel. I know that's one of Randy's Randyisms, but it's true. I mean, you got to watch the back door just in case if somebody's going to keep coming in, and they didn't catch it, and Brown made them pay to make it a 1-1 after 20 minutes. Meanwhile, the second period comes. I thought they played a little bit better, but then of course, Burnsy gets called for slashing. But later on, Evander Kane, after receiving a nice pass from Logan Couture, reached around for the goal. Oh, did I say reach around?
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
I mean, it was literally a reach around goal to give, the Sharks a 2-1 lead on that. I mean, it was a nice play by Couture.
It was a really, I think, like, as much as the patience paid off for Evander Kane there, that pass by Couture was just ridiculously good.
That was Jumbo-esque a little bit there. But I mean, it was a nice reach and good to have good wingspan from Evander Kane on that one. And Evander, 16th of the season, keep doing what you're doing, bud, and to make it a 2-1 lead for the Sharks, and then they get a power play when Kane gets cross-checked right into the referee. And you're thinking, oh boy, here, get a late goal for the Sharks, and they're looking good going into third and everything, but then whatever happened. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like how Burns was set up on this play by Moore on the shorthanded goal to tie it up, but I also didn't like how Jones just.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. Like, yes, the defense on that play was awful, but like that, regardless of where your defenders were, that can't go in. Like, that cannot go in. Like, that's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say, like, I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, there goes Ian on Jones again," but like, that was brutal. And look, he did make some other saves. Like again, you have to take the good with the bad with Martin Jones. If he wasn't as good as he was in the first period, this game gets ugly really quick.
Yeah.
But that goal can't go in. Like, it can't go in. Like, there's no excuse for it. Like, yes, defense, whatever, but even still, like, if you can't rely on your goalie to make that save, it wasn't a good goal.
Yeah. And I didn't even like LeBanc kind of lackadaisically coming back a little bit, and then he just looks like he's just standing there in front of the crease waiting for nothing. You got to have that one, and it put pressure on the team for a big third period. Tied 2-2 after 2. They go into the third period. I thought they played really well. They were taking chances. They were stopping things defensively. They get the penalty, which I thought was a really chintzy slashing call on Jeff Carter. At least the power play looked better this time.
Yeah, but it's kind of like
but
that penalty earlier in the game too, right? Like there's certain things that the refs are super calling right now. If you can get somebody's stick reaching around you and you can tuck that under your arm, you're gonna get the call. You take a whack at somebody's hands, you're gonna get called for it. Like the NHL this year, for a lot of the dumb things they do, to their credit, have really tried to clamp down on the slashes around the hands, which they should have.
Absolutely.
They should have done it a long time ago. But was it kind of a chintzy for sure, but at the same time, like that's gonna get called. You have to know better. And it was it was a really dumb penalty for Jeff Carter to take at that time, for sure.
Yeah, and you're doing all of this without Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who granted isn't really on the power play, anymore. But I mean, it's it's tough to see. I mean, I try to scrub through it just as the game-winning goal was coming in. I didn't see anything on that last shift from Marc-Edouard Vlasic that the that there was anything that injury-wise. Hopefully, we'll get something from Sharks PR either late tonight or tomorrow. I mean, obviously, you have Sunday, you have Monday off, and then you get set to play Anaheim on Tuesday. So it'll be interesting to see as to as to who comes in, because I mean these guys were getting gassed a little bit, and that's what I was saying early on Twitter, because it's like you see these guys take like minute and a half shifts, and this is the forwards, not the defensemen here. I mean the defense. I mean I won't even. I'll look at the time on ice for the defenseman, and that might be. I mean, like goodness, Ferraro played 27-12 tonight.
Oh, I thought he was all over the ice tonight too. Like he really stepped up with obviously Vlasic going down. Other guys had to step up, and I thought he really stepped up. Like Ferraro had an amazing game tonight, I thought.
Yeah. And I mean, and then at the end, I mean, when they showed the after the game, they showed the scramble at the end. It was his foot that got in the way, because that was headed towards the net, going into the net for Los Angeles to tie it up. But his foot got in the way. Couture gets it out. Sticks are broken all over the ice, and with that one. But going back a little bit, Dylan Gambrell and the college kids getting it done. Leonard steals the puck from Quick and feeds it to Gambrell with an open net, and that's your game winner.
Yeah. Again, another really good pass from Leonard. Obviously, Johnny on the spot there. Gambrell gets a goal. It was nice that that Gambrell got that goal too after he had the one taken away from him yesterday on that weird offside. So I thought it was nice that he was the recipient of that goal. But I mean, John Leonard, that's the play, right?
Yeah.
Like it was. I'm not. Obviously you have to hit the net, and that's important. But Leonard getting in there, pressuring Quick to cough up the puck, and then and making that pass. I mean it was a great play by Leonard.
Yeah, and great to see getting into it, more productive, more desire to go get that puck, to go get that game-winning goal, to get in there and finish it off. And it's always a good thing to see the nice extra effort there, and that turns into the game-winning goal. Sharks win 3-2. I mean, 4 in a row for the Sharks. Of course, as we know, this is the longest winning streak of the season for the team, as they get going and look really good after a rough 2-game set in Arizona. How big are those Arizona losses now looming? But
yeah, I mean they're going to be big, and they got a little help from the Avalanche tonight. Avalanche score with 40 seconds left in the game in the third period to break a 1-1 tie. I know we got to the return early, but I think it's important, obviously, in this
Yeah.
context. Cale Makar scores a goal. Uh, scores a goal 40 seconds left in the game to prevent that game from becoming a 3-point game. So the Avalanche win in regulation, keeps the Blues steady at 38 points, I believe.
I'll pull that up just now. But yeah, the Blues. The Blues, of course. Oh, thank you, NHL.com, for not loading properly. That's so wonderful. There you are. The Blues are at 38. The Sharks are at 38. Not sure why the Sharks are still ranked below the Blues, but the Sharks are at.
They probably have
Rose. Yeah, they have the second
they have
tiebreaker. The Rose. This is where Landy would take a shot here if that was the case. But at 17, 16, and 4, the Sharks are over 500 since opening night, which is given everything that this team has gone through. I mean, this team has been coming together lately. 6 of their last 8 games they have been victorious on. It's nice to see. The Blues are at 16, 15, and 6 at 38. Arizona is just a point ahead at 39. The 2 losses are huge, thanks to the Sharks. I mean, now the Kings are 4 points back. They do have a game in hand on San Jose and St. Louis and Arizona. But now there are 4 points behind the Sharks and the Blues, 5 points behind the Coyotes. And it's kind of turning into a 3-team race for the top 3 and a 3-team race for the number 4 spot.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's catching. I don't think anyone's going to catch Minnesota at this point. I think Minnesota's pretty snug in where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas and Colorado are obviously going to fight for supremacy there, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out down the line. And I think that I talked a lot yesterday about the strength of schedule or lack thereof for the Sharks, and I think it was Mike Fryhole on Twitter pointed out today that Arizona actually has a pretty decently weak schedule ahead of them as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I thought that the Sharks had by far the easiest strength of schedule left, but Arizona has a pretty decent schedule ahead of them as well. Let me pull this up here quick.
And while you do that, Benjamin Castle, regulation wins, they are tied. The regulation overtime wins, which is the next tiebreaker. St. Louis has it at 14-12, and that's where those early shootout wins come to hurt the Sharks a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, everything going on here. The Sharks four wins in a row now. They get to they're now 10-10-2 away from the Shark Tank, and granted, they've played a lot of road games already on the schedule. They've played 22 out of 38, which will be nice because now you have 19 games left, and you've done most of your road work.
So the Coyotes' schedule, they have a couple of games against the Kings coming up, which obviously the Kings are. We've watched the Kings play twice in a row now. I mean, it's safe to say that those are probably games that the Coyotes should win. Then they have a game against Vegas. They have a couple against Vegas after. They have Anaheim tomorrow night. Then they have a couple against the Kings. Then a couple of games against Vegas and Colorado. So obviously that's a little bit hurt. Then Minnesota. Then they got again, then they got the Blues, then the Wild for a couple more games, but then it's back to the LA, and then a couple against the Sharks at the end, and then they finish against Vegas. So Like I don't I don't look at the Arizona Coyotes games as like games that the Sharks should win. And I'm not saying that they're going to get completely destroyed though, but yeah, there's a couple of they have a few tough games, but they've got a lot of fluff in there too.
Yeah. And as do the Sharks. I mean, you got the LA, the Anaheims, all next week, which is crazy.
But then you go to then it's Colorado.
Yeah, it's I mean it's a crazy schedule. So let's see. Home to Anaheim, home to LA for 2. Then the Ducks come back the following week, and then they head to Minnesota for 2 games, and then head
3 against the Golden Knights.
Yeah. You have
so you got the Wild, so you got so like you're other than this little stretch here where you play the other California teams, 3 against the Wild, 3 against the Knights, 2 against the Coyotes, and then Colorado to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see, but it'll be also interesting to see in some of those games where do the Sharks start seeing backups? Because obviously the compressed schedule with the playoffs coming up, teams that are going to be locked in, are they going to start resting guys? Right. That's the question. So it's.
Yeah, and you have the 3 games against the Avalanche. Who knows if they have everything wrapped up for them? I mean, those where you can get the backups, but then again, as we all know, the backups against the Sharks, we turn into Vezina winners. Just ask the Coyotes and how Aiden Hill has been doing for them. But a good win all around.
Solid win tonight. Good win tonight. I thought again they got better as the game went on, thankfully. And did they deserve the win tonight? Yeah, I think so. I'm not going to deny that they deserve the win tonight for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that they started out slow, but they picked up, they persevered, and with the unknown injury to Marc-Edouard Vlasic, they persevered. And honestly, I mean, again, when we looked at the time on ice, I mean, it wasn't like overly egregious on that night, but we'll see what happens there. So, if you are just joining us from NBC, thanks for watching. Welcome to the show. Erik and Ian with you here as the Sharks win 3-2 over the Los Angeles Kings. They've now won 4 in a row, as they are now within 1 point of a playoff spot with the Arizona Coyotes idle tonight. So do us a favor. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. It does go a long way. And, of course, hit that notification bell. That lets you know when we go live. Of course, if you want to make a donation to this show, we appreciate it. It goes back to help get better equipment, help with the bills around for SoundCloud and such. You can always do a super chat here, but we do prefer Venmo at Teal Town USA. Indeed on that. So that being said, we're at 19 likes. Come on, let's bump up those likes a little bit. I mean, the Sharks have won 4 in a row. Let's get some thumbs up going here. But interesting developments coming out of Vancouver, Ian. Now it's turning up to be 16 cases, along with some of the members of the coaching staff of the Vancouver Canucks, where this is going to get a little concerning. And at the rate of the schedule they're at right now, I know the league is adamant on trying to get the schedule finished, but what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, first I hope, like everyone there gets healthy quickly. But yeah, obviously that's some scary stuff, Vancouver, I mean, they're pretty far out of 4th. Like they're 6 points back, which I shouldn't say, because 11 days ago were the Sharks. But I feel like that, the top 4 there is pretty much going to jockey for position. But other than that, I feel like it's pretty set, right? Like the rest of those teams are pretty garbage. Like Vancouver, Calgary, Ottawa, they're all pretty bad this year, right? Yeah, it's obviously it's concerning, right? Because I guess they're saying like it's not only just have these people have these players been tested positive, but it's also like there seems to be like the variance at play, right? And I think that's obviously concerning. Um, and again, I think the most important thing is that obviously I hope these guys can get healthy and have no adverse effects, but it's definitely not good. It's definitely concerning. I mean, um, I don't know because it's hard, right? Because like in my opinion, it's like it's difficult because like I think in the States, I don't understand. Like I don't feel like with when I look at my timeline and I look at some of the people that have been vaccinated, I don't think like an NHL player is jumping the queue at that point. Now, north of the border, on the other hand, not so much the same. So I could understand that if they ended up starting to vaccinate, if they start having to vaccinate, NHLers before some of the people that are already struggling to get vaccinated up here, that is not going to look good at all.
No.
Right.
I mean,
especially up here, like that would not fly up here. Like people would scream bloody murder. Like as well they already should. I mean, they've there is a big problem up here with the almighty rules for thee but not for me. Where NHL like where they kind of like in Ontario right now, we're in a I'm not going to call it a lockdown because it's the weakest version of a lockdown they put us in, but there are people up here that are struggling because of it, right? Like again, they've clamped down on indoor dining again, and I think I said this last night, maybe it was in Discord or not. Like the last few lockdowns, because my job is an essential. We've gone to curbside only. Now we're only like 25%. So I don't even know where I was going with this, but
well, I mean,
you can't. But so like obviously, I think if you're the NHL, I know where I'm going now. I found my train of thought. It's back on the tracks. So obviously, I think if you're the NHL, obviously, especially with the playoffs coming up, like you'd want to get a good vaccine rollout going. But I think that would just not play very well in some places. Maybe not all. But I feel like there are like in the States, like you guys seem to be doing pretty well on the vaccination train. So
yeah,
but up here we're not. And I think that if NHLers, not only did they get to do whatever the hell they want and they can have their 7-day
right
quarantine and and they can have meals together when I can't technically be in a host like have more than 5 people in my circle, like obviously like that would not play well up here and that'd be really annoying.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, those who aren't in California, everybody 50 and older are eligible for the vaccine, and they believe on April 15th, anybody 16 and older will get the vaccine. Sure, do not do those. Oh my God, those
What was
conspiracy
the super
theories.
chat? I missed it.
Oh,
I was
yes.
making
Oh, thank you. Hockey Jerk just got my second Justice 5G chip. No, come on, jerk. John with the super chat. Thank you so much. Ian and Puck, how hurt is Logan?
I think he's looked better the last couple of games, but I still don't think he's himself.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think there's something nagging there. I don't know what it is, and we'll never find out until after the season. But,
right.
I don't think he's. I really don't think he's 100%. But I think he's been he's been better. He's been better of late. He looks like he's last couple of games like he seems like he's moving a little bit better. Before like for a while like he just looked slow, like glacially slow. Compared to his normal self. And I think something's nagging there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, something's bugging him because he could see when he takes a hit. I saw him slowly going to the bench, tonight in some cases. So you hope he's okay. Obviously, he's getting used a lot. So hopefully it's just a bugger per se,
I know, like, and it's funny. It's not funny. But like before, he said like his back was hurting, right?
Right.
And like the back's a funny thing because sometimes your back can sore and there's just nothing wrong there other than it's sore, and there's nothing to fix. Just so hopefully that's not the case. But I mean, it could be as simple as back sore, back getting better.
Yeah. Jacob Pedersen. I wonder any relation to Canucks forward. Why can't I remember his first name now? Ian, help me out here. Elias Pettersson. Any relation by chance? But hi from Sweden. This show is worldwide, and we've had viewers in I think London. I think we have one in Australia, New Zealand, all over the place. Of course, Ian's from Canada as well. So we appreciate all of you, and do us a favor, if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button and tell a friend or two or 200. I mean, it'd be great, appreciated. So, so moving onward, let's get to the wraparound. Since John, thank you for the donation. We'll go with Elias, yes. Oh boy, now Benjamin's correcting me with my pronunciations. This is great.
This is what happens.
Yeah, I know. Bruins 7, Penguins 5. And this one, Marchand with a hat trick in this one. Did you see the high stick that Crosby took late in the game?
No.
Oh, it's something. It's something. Lightning win 2-1 over the Red Wings. Braden Point with the game-winning goal. Vasilevsky still, I believe, undefeated in with the at home with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Nashville 3-0. They shut out the Chicago Blackhawks in that one. Tollivan with the goal. Colton Sissons, otherwise known as Synosis, to Fanatics, had a goal in this one. Oh, and Chris JWS with the $4.99 super chat. When I win the lottery, I will super chat you guys $420 every episode. I was watching the Snyder Cut. What did I miss?
You missed. I thought you missed a pretty decent game actually for a game between the 6th and 7th place teams. It was pretty good if you ignored the first. And that's my start. I'm sticking to it. It got progressively better as the game went, which is good considering. Which is not only good, but it's surprising considering it was the second night and the second game in 2 nights for both teams.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Jerk, correct. Thank you. 13-0 at home this year for Vasilevsky.
Vasilevsky's a freak.
I mean, he's on his way to a Vezina for sure. At least a nomination. Jerry, by the way, thank you for your donation as always. I mean,
yes.
My goodness, so, it's crazy with that. Continuing on, the Sabres beat the Rangers in the shootout. They're on a roll, people. Break out the parade. 3-2 with the victory. Linus Ullmark with the victory for Buffalo. Panarin got 2 in the loss for the Rangers. The Islanders win 3-2 in a shootout. I want to look this up because I thought I saw a Carter Hart had ridiculous amount of saves in the shootout. Is that correct, or did I read something wrong here?
I only started paying attention to other games because I have to talk about it on the show now. Because the Sharks are a point out of the playoffs, and I have to actually pay attention to other teams.
How dare you?
I know.
Right? Oh, man. Of course. Moving onward, the Canes lose to the Stars 3-2. I don't recall if Joe Pavelski had a point in this one. I would suspect if AJ is in the chat room, he would tell us so, because we know which he
The
loves
answer to that
playoffs.
question is no. No, he did not.
He
But
did
they
not.
still won.
But
So
they still
good
won.
for them.
As they try to crawl back into the playoff race, along with Nashville, who, if I'm not mistaken,
Nashville is interesting, right? Because there's another team who I think a lot of people were looking at that blue line and kind of salivating, saying, I wonder if they're going to be sellers, and if they're going to, because this is a team that's probably going to have to do something to not just get completely taken advantage of by Seattle. So I think a lot of teams were looking at Nashville and being like, I wonder if I could pry away one of those blue liners for something before they have to leave one of them unexposed in the expansion draft.
right.
And I think if you're like, it's nice, like for Nashville, I think they're in a similar situation as the Sharks in that you probably had a plan going into the trade deadline 2 weeks ago, and that should probably still be your plan, right?
Right.
And I said this last night, and I'll say it again, and even if it makes people angry with me, I don't care. People are always angry with me. But I think if you're Nashville, you want to have the same plan going into this trade deadline as you probably did going into it 2 weeks ago. And so I think that you sell, right?
Right.
Especially if that Seattle's gonna pull a decent player for free. I'd want to move that player for something first. Like that just makes sense, right?
To me, I think the Predators are in the same boat as the Sharks, where maybe you just do moves to help down the road, not to win now, to shore up something for a playoff run that you may not go far in. John with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much as always. Is this the first time the Sharks are above 500? No.
Yeah, they
night.
were 500 once, but I don't think they've been over it. I think they were a 500 team a little while back, but I don't think they've ever broken the 500 mark.
Yeah,
and now they're 514, so let's not get crazy, but yeah, they're above it.
They won opening night, but that was pretty much it since. They teetered with 500
yeah, that's
for
true.
a lot.
They did win their first game. Yeah.
Right. And that was in a shootout. So take that as you will, but that was pretty much it on that one. To quickly recap, Panthers, Wenberg had a hat trick in a 5-2 victory over the Neon Buggers. The Senators doubled up on Montreal. Josh Anderson with 2 goals, but that comes in a loss. Ottawa, really? What the heck? That's crazy. And then Minnesota wins 2 in Vegas. Obviously, they figured out they got their Vegas flu shot, I guess is what you could say. They beat the Golden Knights 2-1 in that one. The Blues, of course, Ian mentioned it earlier. Cale Makar with the game-winning goal with 40 seconds left. The Blues don't pick up any points, so they are now level with the Sharks points-wise in the standings. And that is it for that one. Of course, as we said, the Oilers and Canucks were postponed due to the majority of the Canucks players and coaches under COVID protocol, as we mentioned there. So there was a game tonight in Irvine between the Barracuda and the San Diego Gulls, and we're going to look for Kevin Lacy in my contacts here. And let's see if we can bring him in now. Let's see if he's on the Peloton this time, folks.
Nice.
I thought that was a nice touch to it. So, but we'll have a quick little Barracuda recap right now.
Ooh, Barracuda.
That is a pretty sweet intro. Kevin, are you with us?
Hello. Whoa. I did the Randy Hahn on the empty net goal last night.
All right. How are you, my friend? Good to hear you. We don't see you, but that's quite all right. First off, confirm or deny that you are on your Peloton.
I am not on my Peloton.
Ah,
I had a 36-mile bike ride today, and I am very
show
tired
off.
and have apparently blown out my vocal cords for the day. So,
All right. We'll make this brief then. So the Cuda, what happened?
not good things. Apparently, I was the curse tonight for the Barracuda because when I turned the game on, they were winning 2-1, and Alex True had just scored a shorthanded goal moments earlier. And then the Barracuda decided to give up 6 in a row afterwards. They did get a goal from Joel Chelman in garbage time and lost 7-3. Um, Here's what I took from the game tonight. Too many players just looking like guys. Ian and I have common uh, verbiage about some Sharks prospects and players, even NHL players, even that sometimes being a guy isn't bad, and sometimes guys are just guys. And I feel like lately the Barracuda roster has been filled by guys just being guys, and no one's really stepping up. Barracuda did finally beat Bakersfield earlier in the week, and another game that I was unable to watch, but it did sound like it was a much better effort than the one tonight against San Diego. But unfortunately, no one really stepping up. Plus, between roster moves, Noah Gregor and Frederick Handemark getting called up for about the millionth time to the Sharks a few days ago, and Ryan Merkley and Jaden Hobgwocks both being injured tonight. Had a little bit of roster shuffling, and unfortunately for Roy Sommer, it didn't pay off.
Gotcha. All right. Well, goals win 7-3 on that one. What's their next game, good sir?
Oh, shoot.
Oh
Of course, you
shoot.
have to ask me that.
Oh,
I
I
see
know.
I'm not prepared.
Oh, that's what we get. That's what I get for bringing you on at the last minute. But
So I have a question for you, Kevin.
Yes, please do.
So
The Barracuda play Tuesday against Henderson.
yeah.
there you go.
Tuesday, Wednesday night. They're both early. They are home games, but the Tuesday game's at 5 p.m. Pacific, and the Wednesday game is 6 p.m. Pacific. So if you are getting off of work around that time and watching, you have an AHL TV subscription, you can flip that game on real quick. What's your question, Ian?
So last night on the show, when I was talking about that the Sharks should still be sellers, and I said that if Dubnyk can get you something, you definitely move him, which obviously means that they'd have to put someone behind Martin Jones. And I said that is a Kevin Lacy question. Um, I know Cornash probably didn't have a great game tonight, as the score would probably reflect. But is Cornash the guy that you would put behind Martin Jones to finish out the season?
Yeah, I mean, with Josef Korona, dang it, Josef Kozhinash, we're
Oh,
never
is
going
it
to get
Kuznets? No,
this
we're never
one.
going to get right.
No. This is I keep calling him Coronash too. With Josef Kozhinash, I don't really think tonight was his fault. I did think that the goal he gave up to Keegan Lowe to start the third period was a pretty bad goal. It was just a slap shot that he should have been able to save and only got a piece of. But most of the rest of the goals were either poor defense or, I mean, the goals had 3 power play goals tonight. So
Fair enough.
the Barracuda needed to stay out of the box, and that would have helped them tremendously, I feel like. But yeah, definitely Josef Kozhinash has been the best goalie, in my opinion, for the Barracuda this season. I've had concerns, especially last year,
Mhm.
about whether or not he really could take that next step to become an NHL goalie, because I felt like he's been trending downward since his all-star first half in his rookie year. And Alexei Melnichuk, for all the hype that he's had, being a very young goalie, an exciting prospect, very athletic, and playing in the KHL this year, I don't think Alexei Melnichuk has adjusted to the North American game at all so far. He's had a couple of glimpses where he looked like, wow, this guy can be a number one NHL goalie. But for the most part, I've questioned whether he's even an AHL goalie. and he's battled some injuries recently as well. So I think that having Kojanash back playing games with Barracuda is really essential for what you're talking about with Devin Dubnyk potentially being moved. I think Kojanash has shown so far this season in limited games, mind you, but he's definitely shown some growth. His rebound control has been better. He's not flailing all over the place like he was for most of last season. He seems to have calmed his movement down and just improved on his fundamentals. I imagine that his taxi squad time with Evgeny Nabokov has really helped. Plus, having fresh eyes with a new goalie coach like Danny Sabarin, I think has really helped him out a lot. So I do feel comfortable with giving Koshanash a shot towards the end of the season if the Sharks do decide to be sellers. But I don't know if he's the long-term, at least right now, I don't know if he's the long-term solution for the net. If, say, Martin Jones, right now Martin Jones on a really good streak, but we need to see that against teams like Vegas and Colorado and Arizona. We need to see that happen, and so far it hasn't. But it's a really good question. But I will tell you all that I feel much better about Kojanash at this moment than I did at the start of the year.
All right.
And another just from the chat from Joey Mahoney. How have you felt about Blichfeld so far this year?
Joachim Blichfeld's been the best player overall in the Barracuda, even with Kojanash, who's looked pretty good. I think Blichfeld has easily been the best player on this team. Points wise, it's pretty obvious. He's leading the team in points. I had it up here, but I'm just pulling that right now. Yeah, 15 points in 15 games. He's stalled a little bit, believe it or not, in his point production lately, but he's still getting quality chances. I would like to see him hit the net a little bit more. I do feel like he might be trying to pick the corners a little too much because he does have that lethal shot. But I do feel like Joachim Blichfeld misses the net quite a bit. And so I'd like to see that tightened up. But he's been better defensively this season, which was a problem in his rookie year last year. I think he's been much more responsible on the back check, which has been great. I thought he played fine in his brief call-up before he got suspended for the Sharks. I thought he was doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing, like to get suspended like that, because obviously, like when you become I think like Gambrell learned really quick when you do dumb things, then the playing time goes away really quick. And I didn't like the play that he got suspended on. Like he had to be he has to not do that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget that Joachim Blichfeld's not some dirty player. This is a guy who has a whopping 2 penalty minutes this season if you don't include that hit on McKinnon. So Blichfeld is not going to be the biggest physical threat on the ice in any mean. But speaking of physicality, I do think that Blichfeld, even last season when he was a little more inconsistent than this year, Blichfeld showed that he was willing to not be pushed around. He's always been kind of slight in his frame. I don't know how much weight he put on in the offseason, but I know that he did put on a pretty good amount of muscle, and it's shown. Like, one of the biggest problems I've had with Jaden Hobgawaks in his 3 years with the Barracuda is he's a small player who never seems to look physically stronger, but from year to year or even in a progression of each season. Blichfeld has progressed physically as well as obviously his on-ice performance. And yeah, I think that Joachim Blichfeld has a decent shot of being a middle six winger in the NHL if he continues this trajectory.
All right.
Good to know. That's why we bring him in. Kevin Lacy, thank you very much for your Barracuda update. You can find him at Kevin Lacy 22. And Kevin, thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you. I'll go out the way I got in. Thanks for having me, guys.
All righty. Take care. All right. Kevin Lacy, everyone, as the Kuhre lose 7-3 to the San Diego Gulls. But yeah, that was a good question. I'm glad you brought that up, Ian, because it is curious. We've heard weeks ago that, Dubnyk is one of the guys that might be, put out as trade bait. I mean, it's interesting to see what the team does, and especially since Nieto is still out. You wonder, that was another piece everybody was talking about, maybe with Sorensen, which
Yeah, like when I looked at the contracts, like I thought like Nieto was the one guy that stood out to me that if I'm a team, I'm gonna make some, like I would call about at the deadline. Based on I think he's been really consistent this year. Obviously, like he plays a role and he plays it well. I think sometimes like Patrick Marleau, he's been put into positions where I don't think he belongs, but I don't really have much like for when Nieto came back, like my initial reaction was, long reach Matt Nieto, like, this is like, it was just like a stupid PR move to
Right.
like make the happy seals clap. But actually, like he completely turned me around on him this year. I thought he was really good. And in what he was asked to do, I've enjoyed Matt Nieto this year. So, he was the guy that really stood out to me. It's like, well, if you're looking at this team, who do you want to buy? And, Matt Nieto was the first name that came to my mind. So it's unfortunate that he's gotten hurt, when he didn't, maybe fortunate if you want to keep him around.
Yeah. You wonder if this streak going on right now, and if the Sharks continue on as they get closer and closer to the trade deadline, if they're going to make moves, does the value go up a little bit more? Maybe Nieto was maybe a 3rd-round pick, but now that you've won 4 in a row, you're within a point of a playoff spot. Maybe Doug Wilson asks for something a little bit higher because he knows that's something that can actually hurt the team now. But of course, it will be something to add on to the reset.
I don't know. I mean, and I'm not like, I wouldn't be sad if Nieto stuck around, because like I said, I think he's like I said, I think he's done really well this year for what they've asked him to do. So if he does stick around, I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Yeah, and Kevin, that was one thing they also mentioned on Hockey Night in Canada, in the that Vancouver is the only team dealing with the COVID-19 issues. Their affiliate in Utica hasn't played a game since March 10th. So the Comets have been dealing with COVID issues, and I know they were scrambling to get their guys from other Canadian AHL teams along with the Utica Comets, some of them up to Vancouver to try to piece together a roster if they are able to eventually come back sometime next week. So I think that'll do it for us. In case you missed anything, or do you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and always available at tealtownusa.com. Of course, we're doing the Saturday night, so tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific is the Pucknologist. AJ Jerk and Rocket will take you through the week in review that was of Sharks hockey, along with all kinds of other segments. So be on the lookout for that. I'm sure he's probably got some swag that he might give away. Who knows? But it'll be fun. And this has been fun, of course. Ian, thank you for putting up with me, as always. And your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
Yeah, obviously you can find me on the Twitter machine at Ian Blogs Hockey. Final thoughts, same as last time. I mean, when Sharks do good, it's good. I'll be in Discord and we can all continue the party there.
Right.
Yay, party.
You have work tomorrow?
No, it's Easter Sunday.
Oh, lucky you. Right, it's Easter Sunday.
I can't stay in Discord all night because, like, I do have to get up with my kids in the morning. But, so I have to go to bed a little bit earlier.
So Ian will be up till 4 a.m.
Till 4 a.m. instead of 5. Yeah.
I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. We will head over to our Discord channel right now to continue the conversation. But be on the lookout for Pucknologist tomorrow night at 7 p.m. the trio will take you there, and you have a good chuckle at the same time, and probably at my expense. So until then, the Sharks will play Tuesday against the Ducks at home. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow for Pucknologist, Tuesday following Sharks and Ducks. Good night, everyone.